Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Hope everyone survived April Fool's Day. My son got me with the sink, the water thing, the water nozzle, put a rubber band around it. I turned the water on, got me right in the pants. So anyway, I hope you all had better April Fool's Days than I did. Um, we're here to talk about something not foolish, something very serious, and that is vulnerability management. Like I mentioned in our Discord chat, uh, you all probably saw Ninja made a pretty big announcement last week. We had Greg here and Mark. Were you at RSA too? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was at RSA as well.
Cool. Yeah. So you guys were there at RSA, and this was a big part of our reason for being there, announcing the launch of vulnerability management. And we saw a lot of chatter within the Discord too. You all saw that. You all have been active in some cases, beta testing, alpha testing this stuff. Greg is a name that you've seen and you've been harassing in Discord, which has been great. You've been giving early feedback, and now we have officially launched vulnerability management. It's available. You can talk to your account managers about it, get access to it. And we wanted to do this live stream today to tell you a little bit more about it, clear up some questions and confusions that we saw, and then also give you some sneak peeks and really kind of outline our plan for how this is going to develop. So please consider this to be your time to ask Greg and ask Mark some questions here. And really looking forward to discussing this because this is a product that's been in the works for a while and that we're all really excited about. So let's get to it. First, I'll introduce you guys. So, Greg, let's start with you. As we mentioned, Greg Thomas, he's Director of Product Management here at NinjaOne. Comes from a background of being heavily involved with B2B software in terms of security and vulnerability management, patching, all the things that are really, really critical. Greg's got years and years of experience there building awesome products around it. We're lucky to have him here at Ninja, and we're lucky that he's very active in the Discord and very embracing the Ninja way of building things, which is all about getting feedback, reacting to it. So, Greg, thanks for taking time for doing this.
Well, shucks. Thanks, Jonathan. No, I appreciate the intro there. Again, Greg Thomas, Director of Product Management. Been in this space a long time. Operations roles. I did consulting for a number of years, anywhere from 50 endpoints to hundreds of thousands of endpoints. So I've got a wide range of experience with different customer sizes. To Jonathan's point, I think one of the super cool things we have here at Ninja is just a community of folks like yourself that are just incredibly outgoing in feedback. Like I've gotten so much great feedback. We've made so many changes, and lots more to come.
Awesome. We'll get into it too. And thank you, Greg. Next, we have Mark Bermingham. And Mark, you also come from a big background in B2B software. You are a senior product marketing manager on the team. And this has really been your baby in terms of rolling vulnerability management out. You are, and part of your role is really getting into, okay, what are the needs? What are the big pains that we're trying to solve? How are we going to effectively do that? And then you're guiding through launching the product. So really appreciate you taking time to do this, and always good to have a fellow Northeasterner on the call.
Jonathan and I are close. We live about 35 minutes apart, so we do take the opportunity to say hello.
Go Celtics! Right sort of rough start to the Sox season, but we'll hang in there.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. I think the Bruins jersey is the right one to wear right now. So, at least from this geography's perspective. Anyways, a pleasure to meet you all. I don't know how you want this to go, Jonathan. I think we're ready with a quick overview, and I think really where we want to get is sort of in the weeds, into a demo. So let me know how you want to run this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question for everybody watching. How many are actively utilizing vulnerability management? How many have been involved in the early testing? Just curious. Would love to get your comments here. Aside from that, want to get questions. What is everybody? I don't know. What are big questions? If you've been privy to some of the announcements or seeing what's available, this is the whole point of this. We want to answer any questions that you all have. So let us have them. But with that, Mark, I mean, I think a good place to start might be walking through your deck just to kind of set the context here. And then from there, we'll get into a demo with Greg.
Yeah, sure. Let me share just a couple of slides, and I'll go really fast because this is the marketing portion, the necessary marketing portion of this talk. Can you see my screen?
Yep, bringing it up now. There we go.
Okay. So, so Jonathan, thanks for the setup. Right. So we look long and hard at issues that exist in the marketplace, and we saw a tremendous opportunity here around vulnerability management. So the specific problem that we set out to solve is essentially that vulnerability management today is very slow. Fundamentally, the detection engine, so SecOps typically owns detecting vulnerabilities, aggregating that package of CVEs up as a PDF or a CSV file, and then they throw that over the wall to IT ops, who then is in charge of patching. That delay creates huge opportunity for the attackers, and they leverage things incredibly fast. In fact, there's a lot of evidence and stats that point to the fact that when a vulnerability is initially exposed and announced, the attackers jump almost instantly. About half of what is announced is almost instantaneously, and instantaneously is measured in hours, not days or weeks. They instantaneously leverage that vulnerability to go after data assets that organizations keep sacred. And the opportunity here is figure out a way to directly connect detection, CVE insight, directly with remediation. So that is specifically what we set out to solve. So we announced a couple of weeks ago, essentially a week before RSA, and we purposely showed up at a security show because this is very much security leaning capability. We are able to deliver continuous real-time AI-driven Windows software vulnerability data directly into the platform. Because of who NinjaOne is, right? We are an agent deployed solution. We understand everything about the telemetry that's operating on that endpoint. And we can leverage that insight to bang that profile up against, and this is continuously done, against NIST's National Vulnerability Database, the MVD, and instantaneously populate CVE insights into the console from which organizations then remediate those CVEs. So the power of this is it's continuous. It operates in real time. It's no longer beholden to a scheduled periodic scan. And even the very best organizations are scanning every couple of days. Those scans are one thing, they're cumbersome. When you run them, they impact your endpoint significantly. And the other thing that's hard is how do you make sure everybody is online? Because an asset has to be online to go through a scan. We don't have that issue, right? We can leverage the fact that we have live endpoints, but we also can leverage insight into the last known software state of endpoints and populate vulnerabilities against that last known software state. So when that asset comes back online, we will populate all the CVEs associated with it. Because we're doing this on the server side, essentially in the cloud, there's zero endpoint impact. We don't touch the endpoint in any way. And because we've populated vulnerability, right, this key CVE cultivation directly in line with the remediation engine, right, our patch management solution, detection and remediation now are directly connected. So we're essentially trying to move what has typically been a vulnerability scanning periodic process out of the critical path and connect it directly to remediation. This is the last slide I'll cover, and then we can get it into the weeds. I know there's been some confusion around what this actually is, and this picture, I think, summarizes exactly what we intended to build. The left-hand side of this is what we've made a lot of noise about. This is our real-time vulnerability management solution that we just have announced. This is just information. And without a vehicle upon which to execute action against that key information, it's nothing. So vulnerability management that we've delivered is purposely designed to function, to coexist with our patch management solution, so that you can pull CVE insight in real time, continuously and forever, essentially, and execute remediations against those CVEs that have been identified, again, continuously and in real time. So that's all I want to cover. We can get in the weeds on this. I'll answer any questions. Greg is on. Greg is in charge of the team that built this. So we are prepared to address any concerns, any issues, any enhancement ideas you guys have. We'd love to hear them. I'll stop talking and stop sharing, and maybe we can really get into this community discussion.
All right. Well, no, thank you, Mark. That was great. Really good context. Especially, I noticed there was a lot of questions about scanning and scanners. You know, are you guys having your own scanner? Do I need my own scanner? And so this whole idea, I was just curious. I put this in the chat. How new is that for folks? Are there any? Is that a big shift for everybody? Something that they need to kind of wrap their head around. We did have one question from Matt. Hey, Matt. And Randall already answered it, but basically. This is a bring up an opportunity to say that there's a cost associated. Exactly. So this is, Ninja has new features. Some new features and capabilities are built in, right? Like warranty tracking is a good example. We roll that out. No additional cost, right? There's some other things that we're rolling out that are their own products, like MDM backup. This is falling into that category. That this is something that you should need to talk to your account manager about, and there is an additional cost associated with it. Mark, can you talk a little bit about that cost, especially with it's not like what the basis is. It's not scan related or usage based.
Let me back up one step as well. One of the things I should have mentioned is this. So this is not designed as a replacement for scanning tools you might already have on board. We are not intending to replace your Tenables, your Qualyses, your Rapid7s. We are interested in identifying endpoint specific vulnerabilities. And today, this is just Windows OS software vulnerabilities only. Windows software vulnerabilities only. So we don't intend for you to replace your existing scanning solution. There is a cost associated with this, but there's a lot more coming in the roadmap for this product. So right now, we are discounting this heavily. At scale, this is about $1 an endpoint additive uplift cost. As I'm sure most of you are familiar with NinjaOne, we're extremely flexible with pricing. So if you push hard enough, you may or may not get a deal. That's between you and your account manager. But we did not price this aggressively to try and extract some sort of premium. This is purposely added. It's very much designed to be compatible with what we already have in the marketplace from a patch management perspective. This is designed to really enhance that capability and provide insights significantly more quickly than you've ever been able to pull in the past with a scanning-based solution. It's really specifically designed to address the fact that organizations need to accelerate their patching cadence, because the attackers, especially now better equipped with AI, are moving way faster than defenders are moving today. We need to make this go faster.
Thank you, Mark. And before we get in, I want to give Greg a chance to chime in and also show off some things. But just really quickly with the price and everything, we got Randall here. You're already utilizing this. I'm curious about how, whether you're an MSP or internal IT, how you justify the cost of it, whether this displaced something or whether there's another solution there, if you're comfortable with sharing. And then Matt, I'm just curious too, how does that sound to you? Is that, how does your calculus work there? Interested to get your guys' thoughts and feedback. But Greg, tell us a little bit about going into this. Again, you coming from the background of having some direct experience with some of those other tools that Mark was mentioning. Tell us a little bit about what's available now, but also the kind of like big vision that, why is Ninja entering into the space to begin with?
Yeah. So here's the deal. I've been in this industry, as I mentioned, for a long time. I've been the person actually remediating these giant, massive lists that come from a vulnerability team. What we're setting out to do is smooth those transitions. We're trying to reduce the amount of time that you spend going back and forth between teams. I'm going to show you a couple bits that we built in here that I think specifically address some little things that you don't see in the marketing. You don't see, they're not in your face, but there's little tips to make your life easier. Again, there's a lot more coming here. This product has been launched on the market for about 2 weeks. This is a massive investment from the company. So there's a lot more coming, and we intend to build a lot of the things folks are asking about. But again, the biggest thing right now, right? This could change in the future, but right now, what we want to give you is the ability to get ahead on your vulnerabilities. When you've got a weekly or a monthly scan that comes in, you are already that far behind the mark on remediating those. And typically it's an urgent, hey, get this done now because we're vulnerable. And it's like, hey guys, like we're a month into this. Like we just ran a scan. It's hard on me. So this is to enable the ops team or the person who's pushing the button on patching or automating that patching to get ahead. And then at that scan at the end of the week or the end of the month, it's saying, hey, here's the outliers, right? Here's the 15, here's the 20 items that you got to address instead of 10,000. Which I think anybody who's been in this space knows you can get to 10,000 pretty quickly on vulnerabilities.
Unfortunately.
Yep. So let's get into a demo. I just kind of want to show you what we have, make sure everybody understands what's there, and then we'll get into some of the fun stuff. So very quickly, I do want to show the different parts of vulnerability management, because as we talk about this, it is super easy to get confused. We have 3 different parts of this. And I am running our 13.0 release, so it looks slightly different from any of you that are still on the 12.x release. 13.0 just started releasing this week to some of our customers. So here's 2 of the pieces, NinjaOne patch and the real-time software assessment. To the question earlier, if you don't see this real-time software assessment, just talk to your account team. They can turn it on for you. This is the paid piece. NinjaOne patch, this is an integration with patching, both operating system as well as third party. So as we identify patches that have remediations, we will expose those in the vulnerabilities tab as well. Everything that comes from NinjaOne patch is based on the time of the last scan for a patch. Again, whether that's third party patching or operating system patching, it is based on that time frame. Real-time software assessment is the piece that's going to come live. We're literally talking about 2 to 5 minutes, right? If I go in and I've got a technician trying to do the right thing, he goes out there and he installs Firefox, but he found Firefox on a shared drive and he installs this for a customer. Customer's happy. They're like, sweet, I've got Firefox. I can do my job. Well, it was a 2-year-old version that he found on that shared drive. Right? Within 2 to 5 minutes, you're going to see those several hundred CVEs pop up for Firefox, and you're going to have an opportunity to know about them immediately. Again, instead of waiting until the end of the week or the end of the month when that heavier scan runs that you typically run in your environment. Again, that's whatever tool you have. I assume many of you do have a tool that does that. But that's kind of the workflow people go through. So now you can find out immediately. Now you have an opportunity to remediate those right away. You close those holes that have been open for a couple of years there. So these are 2 pieces. The other piece that I want to point out here is the third-party integrations. These are all different versions of our vulnerability importer. You take a CSV output from your other tool, you could import it into NinjaOne. These are all based on the actual time of import, or actually the time of export. So say you have Tenable. You export from Tenable at 6 p.m. on a Friday. You import it on Monday, and you remediate a bunch of stuff. You're not actually going to see those change until you import another result from Tenable. And we do have an API to do that, to import those automatically. You can set up a schedule. If you look in our dojo, there's a script. And I know there's folks in our community that have talked on Discord who've made some pretty cool tools in their own GitHub repos for helping tailor those exports to be the most efficient. So again, shout out to the community there. We've got some pretty cool folks here doing stuff to help our customers out. So those are the 3 pieces. Within each one of these pieces, there is the ability to enable and also enable impacting device health. Enabling just turns it on, right? As soon as you turn this on, you will start seeing CVEs pop into your environment. Lots of customers right out of the gate have chosen not to impact device health. Reason being, there's a lot of vulnerabilities they don't know about, that maybe they don't have another tool, or they just weren't aware of these. A lot of devices are going to light up red. So you might want to get a handle on that before you impact device health. A lot of customers have chosen to do that. But again, it is your choice. You can enable or disable that as you need. So now let's go back to, let's talk about the new capability. So you get these dashboards, right? You get these charts. I am going to show you what the next release is going to look like as well. But all of these are interactive, right? I can click into this. I've got 62 here. I can click in. I can see my results here. I can go back. Look at any of these. I can look at the different device roles. If you take advantage of these device roles in NinjaOne, if you're a retail customer, maybe you have retail devices, point of sale devices. If you're you're an MSP, maybe you have dental offices that have specific devices that you have specific roles for. Again, you see CVEs across those roles. The other nice thing, and this is one of those tidbits that I just love from a actual operations perspective. We all love change controls, right? Everybody loves change controls. You got to wait to do stuff. But on some occasions, you are in a window where you can do something now. Right now, you'll notice I've got this filtered to devices currently online. If I unfilter this, I can see, right, I've got 6 more devices. I can't do anything with 2 of those devices. If I actually want to make an impact on these devices now, I can immediately filter. I can go to those devices, right? I will point out there are some differences here. We've got in the results there. Those are resolved in the next release that I will show you here briefly in a few minutes. But again, the idea here is to be able to show you what's online now so you can begin remediating it. Now, when we pivot over and we start looking at, let's uncheck that. We've got 66 here. We start looking at our actual vulnerabilities. We've got a number of filters you can add here, right? Certainly you could filter by certain CVEs if you want to look for them. You've got your severity filters, OS type. You can look at the number of managed devices. By default, you're actually going to see organizations as well. So if you have most of our MSP customers use the organizations heavily, you'll be able to see how many organizations those CVEs are present as well. Let's just do this to make this screen a little bit clearer for you all. So everything you see here, it says NinjaOne software scanning. This is coming from the new source. This is for any software on your Windows devices right now. And I say Windows, Mac is already in testing. Linux is probably a release behind. So we're getting Mac and Linux out for you as well. But these are all the software on your device, right? This is not just limited to what we can patch in NinjaOne. The remediations that you see are limited to what we see in NinjaOne, what we can scan for in NinjaOne. But we will identify all types of software, right? You've got the little Copilot plugin on your system, not a NinjaOne patch for that. We'll identify vulnerabilities in that, Power Automate. There's 320,000 CVEs, I believe, something around that number. We have, thousands in NinjaOne in patching, right? So there's a lot of software that we can identify that's vulnerable for you. And in many cases, the remediation may be a custom software package. It may be a custom script. We're going to do better on giving you remediations for those. But for right now, it's only the ones that we have in either operating system or third-party patching. So let's take a look at one of those. Here's an example. I've got a remediation for Chrome, right? I've got this CVE. I take a look at this one. This is 2026. This is a brand new one. I can see what software is impacted by this. I can see the devices. Now, here's what's really interesting to me, and this is critical. This information here, you can get to it by clicking on this window here, or if I were to go back, If I click here, you'll see a little mode will pop up. This is another one of those tips, right? As you are operating here, if you have a separate tool doing your scans and a separate tool doing your remediations, hopefully NinjaOne, what you're doing half the time is saying, hey, you know what? This particular CVE, it's already in my plan. Like it's already in my schedule. I can ignore it. In this case, we're showing that to you right up front in NinjaOne. And this is what I love, because it eliminates me having to do a bunch of work to figure this out. I can just click in this and I can see, hey, you know what? This is not already approved. I've actually got to interact. I've got to make a change here in order for this to become approved. So you can click in here. We've got a couple versions of Chrome that are out there. I have a couple options. You all are probably familiar with this from the patching world. I can apply now, right? If I have no change control and I just want to kind of let it rip and get these things remediated right away, this is a 9.8 CVSS score. Pretty important. Maybe I want to apply now. Me personally, I am trying to help you drive towards automation, right? So you click apply now enough times, you get comfortable with that. You're probably going to move to the button right next to it and approve it on a more global scale, whether that's for all policies or specific policies, that's up to you. But we want to give you that crawl, walk, run methodology. So you can test it. You can do the manual apply now. And then once you're comfortable with it, say, hey, let's get this on all our devices. Let's automatically approve this. In a perfect world, we're moving as much as possible towards automation. We're updating these as much as possible via our policies. And as mentioned earlier, we're identifying the outliers at the end of the month, right? Or at whatever reporting cadence you have. So let me just real quickly shift here to a different environment. What I'm going to show you now is our 14.0 release. Code's already written for this, so this is not like a risk of will this come or will it not. Code's already written here. So this is going to be 14.0 release. 13.0 is actively releasing now. We're adding known exploited insights here, right? So if and a lot more filters, by the way, a lot more filters so you can figure out which patches or which CVEs you want to remediate first. If I filter this to known exploited, that's pretty important information, right? I've got 12 CVEs out there on a lot of devices here that are being exploited in the wild. I need to patch these immediately, right? So that's one way we're giving you more information. If you need to look at CVEs released before a certain date, or if you've got SLAs built around these, you do have a published date filter here. You can filter this on that. The other really nice thing that I love from an operational perspective is I can come in here and if I can spell, right, I can search and I can find CVEs related to a specific software. Okay, I've got one CVE related to Copilot. Whereas if I look for something like Chrome, find a lot more, right? I can see that I could actually remediate these issues. So again, more tools built in to give you the ability to decide which remediations are going to be most impactful for your environment. Again, lots more coming there. We're going to be adding to our reports here, giving you more and more reports there. Some folks have mentioned, hey, you lack reporting. You're missing this. What we found from customers, and we had over 1 million endpoints in our beta for this, is customers are telling us, hey, this may not be perfect yet. It may not replace Qualys, Tenable, whatever the case may be, but it provides value for my organization right away. So just want folks to understand, like, there's a lot more coming here, but there's immediate value that we've already got customers extracting. We've got some pretty good stories about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. I know I'm going to interrupt you for just a second and bring up, because Randall's been really patient. He's been asking this and he's like, okay, yeah, it sounds like I got my answer. But I think there's a little bit more we can talk to about this. So, Randall was, they're considering the tool, and the big hang up he was mentioning is, can we get action on the information provided? So, can Ninja actually patch then based on the vulnerability information? And you were just showing, it's easy to then immediately go in You can see based on policies what's pending, what's approved. Get in there. You can do it manually. But I'm curious too, is there any capabilities for baking things into policies or automations based on CV, severity or anything like that? I mean,
Yeah.
when you're talking about automations.
Yeah, I totally understood. I know where you're going there. Ninja has a lot of capabilities for, like a lot of you have tons of automations you've built on your own, right? I would love to tell you NinjaOne for all 320,000 CVEs out there, we're going to build your remediation for all of them. But if I told you that, I'd be lying. And any company that tells you that is lying. That is too much. There's too much change. We're going to do as many as we can. But in some cases, you may have a script that you've looked at a blog article on some hot CVE that's in the news, and you said, hey, this is how I remediate this. I've got to flip this registry key.
Right.
And you may want to run that. Right. If I'm looking at my device view, and you'll notice, actually, let me go back here so I can show you. There's two different views. If I click on the CVE side, it'll take me to the CVE list. Whereas if I click on the number side, it's going to take me to my device list. Right. So if I look at my device list here, I can get my devices and I can immediately run my own automations. Any automations I have, I can run against those devices. We will be adding a condition or a number of conditions so that you can automate those custom remediations. It's not in there yet. That's one of those things. Again, it's not there now. Totally need to add it. It's a core Ninja capability, just not there now. It's we're releasing features as we build them to you.
Cool. And so just Randall, just make sure you got everything you need here. Greg, is it fair to say does NinjaOne patch take care of the vulnerability? Yes, asterisk. Like yes, as long as it's one of the third-party apps that NinjaOne patching supports. Or an OS.
Yeah, if it has a if it has a remediation available here, right? We can click this and we can push this patch out and automatically remediate that particular issue. That is absolutely possible. If you have a custom automation or software package that you want to use to remediate those vulnerabilities, you can do that as well. With the real-time updates, if part of that custom package updates the software to a secure to a non-vulnerable version, you'll see the update within a couple minutes here. This is not directly tied to patching. It doesn't need patching to run to update any remediations any CVEs from this particular source. That is truly live within 2 to 5 minutes.
So even if that whatever third party, whatever app is not one of the ones that NinjaOne can patch quickly, automatically, you're still able to use Ninja to do this, but you're just having to do a little bit more work.
And actually, if I could add on that, I get a lot of questions about what about out-of-date software, right? What about out-of-service software that's still vulnerable? We're going to find that, right? If there's CVEs that exist for it, we're going to tell you that software is vulnerable. In many of those cases, you're only right. Like if you've got a software installed from 2005 and that vendor is not updating it anymore, and there's no manual, workaround remediation, your only remediation may be making a decision. I want to uninstall this. And if you went to uninstall that in NinjaOne, again, within a couple minutes, you're going to see those CVEs peel back off that device. So that loop of I've fixed it or I've attempted to fix it, and then getting the feedback that, yes, I have accomplished what I set out to do and resolve that CVE, you get that immediately.
I mean, no one's running Windows 8 or outdated software anymore. So, all right. So Randall, let us know. Did I answer your question? Any other questions you got would be great. And then Robert had one too. Well, we've got you here, Greg.
Sure.
And yeah, I think you kind of answered this one already too, but just involving conditions. That's where Robert head was going to, automating stuff. Are there conditions to trigger OS scans if you have? Oh, there are conditions to trigger OS scans if you have an OS CVE. Are there going to be for software too?
Yeah. So as opposed to adding them specifically for software, we're going to add conditions for any type of CVE, right? Like any CVE that's found over whatever CVSS score you identify, very similar to the existing OS condition, you'll be able to build automations based off of that. Again, not there yet, 100% on the list. It's a core capability we need to add for you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think I'll bring it to last call for any kind of open questions. This has been recorded, so this is going to be available on YouTube. As soon as the stream is done, the same page will be there. You can share this with colleagues, teammates, and we'll also keep an eye on it too. A lot of folks will find these streams available on YouTube after the fact, and then they'll have questions. We definitely watch those for comments, and we try to answer them as much as possible. Cool, Randall. Great that we answered that for you. And then also, like we said, I mean, in addition to questions here live, we try to make ourselves as accessible as possible. Greg and Mark are both great examples of that. You can jump into the Discord if you're not a member yet. We got the QR code. I saw someone scanned it already, but we'll bring it back up there. Discord will give you access to, it's up to, I think we have over 15,000 members now. There's a lot of fellow NinjaOne users who are helping each other out. Robert, who's on, is a great example of that. Thank you, Robert, for everything you do. And then you also have access to the PMs. And in addition to that, if you are interested in getting early access to things, as Greg is building out the latest and greatest, beyond 14, what's going to be going on there, we're always looking for folks who are interested in being early access testers and giving feedback. And Discord is a great way to get into that too. It'll involve talking to your account manager and signing an NDA, but then you get access to super secret stuff, which is cool. All right. Any other questions? Let's see here. Okay, JT, thanks for the question here. Is there a target patch for the conditions for Vuln? So, I mean, is there a target date, I guess, is what JT's asking. Your favorite question, Greg, as a PM.
Yeah. No, I don't have a specific date for that. It's going to be the second half of this year. We have some core capabilities we need to get in there. I mentioned Mac and Linux, and we've got some other exciting stuff coming that I can't really talk about now that we're going to get in before that. But that is one we're gonna look at in the second half of this year. If you don't mind, I would just like to kind of push on the Discord thing again. I love having conversations in there. Like I recognize definitely some of the names here from the chat and conversations I've had in there. We get incredible feedback in there. There's a gentleman who I've spoken with for probably an hour every day, for a good week and a half on this product. And I've been able to make so many improvements just on the feedback I've gotten. So it is a great way to get direct communication with me. You don't have to go through support, and we can actually change the product. Vulnerability is one of those very unique places where I can do the best that I can do, and I'm never going to have all the software and operating system combinations that you all do. So as you present some of those things you're seeing, a lot of those, we actually have a unique ability to fix those pretty quickly because we're running all of these scans, all of these assessments on the cloud side. When we identify any sort of problem, we actually can typically remediate those within hours, right? Like, hey, this particular software that you've never ever heard of, Greg, but I have on 14 devices in my environment, it's showing up as vulnerable, or it should be vulnerable. Like, we can go in and look at what we know about that, and we can adjust our algorithms. And we actually end up helping every single customer when that comes in. So it's just want to say thanks again and advocate for everybody here to join Discord so we can continue having those conversations.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one thing it's great with our customers. I mean, whether you're in internal at a small business, I mean, small businesses, what a world. The types of software and the types of stuff you're exposed to is there's always going to be uniqueness there. And then with MSPs, having that exposure across, tens, hundreds of clients too, there's always going to be those edge cases and external things. And like you said, Greg, sharing can help everybody. So definitely appreciate you calling that out. All right.
Hey, Jonathan, I have one more comment to make also. So
please do, Mark.
Yeah. So Greg has mentioned that a lot more is coming with this product, right? We released this 2 weeks ago. It's 2 weeks in the market. This is our first iteration of what is going to be a very robust and largely complete vulnerability management solution. The intention, so we've issued a price point, right? We've introduced a price point in the marketplace. That price point is not intended to change as we evolve this over the next year plus. As such, we right now are offering great deals. There's huge incentives to get involved with us now. And I would encourage you to take a look at that with your account manager. We would love for you to join this. And again, Greg has made it very clear that we appreciate feedback. This is currently in early access, and it's tagged that way by design. GA is not scheduled for North America till like July. So we would love to have you on board, and we'll incent you to do so.
Yeah, get in the ground floor on the rocket ship. Speaking of, what a cool launch yesterday. But we also had Randall will absolutely help you use Discord. It's really like, I mean, it's Slack basically. But we also understand that not everybody can get into Discord. It's not the only avenue you have. We've also got the dojo and your account managers, and we're working on some other access points there too.
If you talk to your account manager, I also have a special email box that I'm not going to say on the stream here because it'll be out on the internet, but talk to your account managers. I have an email inbox for all feedback on the vulnerability products. And I do read those myself and respond.
Very cool. I appreciate you both taking time to do this. I think that you're definitely great examples of how we do things the Ninja way, right? And thank you everybody for taking time out of your day to join the stream. Hopefully we answered your questions, cleared things up. I know there's going to be a lot of folks. If you're watching the recording right now, don't be shy. If we didn't cover something that you have a question about, put it in the comments. We'll get back to you on it. And yeah, just looking forward to seeing how this developing it in concert with everybody. And thank you all. This is a huge area. As Mark and Greg, you really laid out the case really well at the beginning. This game of whack-a-mole is not going to stop, right? It's just going to keep going. It's going to ramp up.
Yep.
And so really cool that we've decided to focus on that and really see some needed changes and trying to help everybody make their lives easier with that.
As much as I loved whack-a-mole as a kid, I don't like it as a
Not so much fun in this context. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And Robert, I hear you at dinner time. You know, the global company, it's hard to keep everybody happy. Just imagine Robert watching this as his kids are like, Papa, have dinner with us, engage with us. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. We'll be back with another stream in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, have a great rest of your week. Happy April, everyone, and see you online.